Eventually, every machine knitter must change a needle. Latches get bent or broken, and the needle just doesn't function well anymore. The Corona that I have is the CH1500. As best I can tell, all models have a similar needle replacement setup. In this case, my needle looks okay, but one column of stitches began dropping while knitting tuck. It did not do it in stockinette over and over. It is quite common that a problem will show up first in tuck stitch, and this is one that did. Once I have the bad needle out, since it is not actually broken, it is possible that oiling it and or straightening it will help it to knit again in the future. This is the needle retaining bar. You have to give it a push from the other end with the end of a screwdriver. I'm not quite far enough there. Hang on. Now I should be able to get a hold of it. Only need to pull it out far enough to be able to remove the needle. And if you look down in, sometimes you can see the shadow of it moving. You can't really see it, but you can see a little shadow there. I think I'm far enough. This is very much like changing the needle on anything else. This should be a good needle. It was right at the end. So I'll take that one out to use as my replacement. Then come over here and find the naughty one. It's right up here. I believe it to be this one. Close the latch just for safety. Lift, and I'm not free, which means my rod's not quite far enough out. I'm pulling it farther. And there it comes. If it's difficult, it shouldn't be. And so you need to pull the rod farther. Now, of course, I've dropped the stitch, but it's only one. That should be easily replaced. Opening the latch, which is generally how they are to be inserted. Let's see if that works. And we're in there. Coming down here. Now, of course, I have dropped the stitch in the waste yarn, but that's only one stitch and easily reseated on the needle, and it is only in the waste yarn. Here's a view of the rod moving. See it? And see it bumping into the sinkers. Let's move them forward a little. The rod can go back in position. The rod is about there, and when I reach around the camera, it's bumping. So I need to let these come a little bit forward so it'll slide over them. The rod should be above the needles, pressing them down so that they make good contact with the bed. I'm just nudging the sinkers a little bit out of the way, and then making sure they will return to their normal position. Now I should be able to find the stitch I dropped, and it's just in the waste yarn. So while I'd like to rehang it, perfection is not necessary. But it wasn't too hard to get a hold of. It's back on a new needle, and all should be well. I think it would be smart before resuming hat knitting to knit a few tuck rows and make sure I don't have the same problem again. I can just do those in waste yarn. After the needle change, tuck did resume working properly. That is normally what's wrong if you only have one column of stitches acting up. Here's an entire hat knitted with the same needles tucking as before and 0 mistakes. On the subject of finding replacement needles, I wish I had a happier answer for you, but I do not know of a source for new Corona needles. What usually happens to owners of vintage machines is that they end up buying a spare or buying one with a friend so that parts may be traded around as needed, because needles definitely will be needed. They are a normal wear and tear item. Often when a knitter buys a machine to restore and finds out that there is some feature of it that is unrestorable, she will sell the parts individually. That's a great thing for those of us with these machines, and I hope I find someone like that.